Hello and welcome again to Minds That Matter. I'm your host, James Thomas, and today we have a very special guest, Dr. Barry Wall, who is the Director of Forensic Service at Eleanor Slator Hospital. Dr. Wall, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, it's great to have you here. There's been a lot going on in the news lately about cases that have been related to forensic evaluations, competency, and things of that nature. And I just wanted to ask you, well, first of all, I wanted to find out how long have we had a forensic unit in Rhode Island?
Well, in its current form, the forensic unit has been around since the mid-1970s. So we've had a forensic unit in the current incarnation at the Eleanor Slator Hospital for, I guess, about 30 years now.
Okay.
We had 2 units that had forensic patients for some time. And then in the early to mid-1990s, with the reorganization of the hospitals within the Department of Mental Health, we now have one 20-bed forensic unit.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the forensic unit is a male unit over at the Pinnell building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, there's also a female forensic unit, too, in that there's a place for folks that need to be housed for competency or awaiting disposition.
That's true.
Where's that?
It's important to remember that the vast majority of people who get arrested in Rhode Island, as well as the rest of the country, are male. Mm-hmm. Over 90% of the people who get arrested, as a rule, are male. Okay. So just as there are very few, relatively speaking, female places for inmates at the ACI, mm-hmm. There is just a few spaces that's really necessary for female forensics within Rhode Island. We have an all-female unit in the Adolph Meyer building of mm-hmm. the Eleanor Slator Hospital, and from time to time, when we have female forensic patients admitted for competency restoration or for any of the other reasons that they may end up having forensic status, then we will have the person there on a designated forensic unit.
Okay, so they could be evaluated for competency to stand trial on this female unit that's in the Adolph Meyer building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But for the most part, competency and the forensic unit, these issues are mostly a male phenomenon.
Okay. Now, before we get into the whole notion of competency and not guilty by reason of insanity, things of that nature, can you just give me a little bit of a backdrop as to how the forensic unit operates, sort of a typical day at the forensic unit in terms of its structure and average length of stay of folks that are there, things of that nature?
Sure. The forensic unit, as I said, is a 20-bed male unit, and there are essentially 3 ways of having an admission to the forensic unit. You can be admitted as an incompetent to stand trial individual, which, as you say, we'll get to.
Right.
You could be admitted after being formally declared insane, legally insane, or you could also be designated for admission because you are thought to, you're an inmate who's thought to need specialized services that can't be provided over at the ACI. Okay. So those are the 3 ways that people can come in. And I refer to them as the 3 I's, the incompetent, the insane, or the inmate. Those are the 3 admissions. Okay. The way then that the unit is structured is that it is a hospital. The purpose of confinement is treatment, not punishment. Mm-hmm. And the individual's treatment goals are related to their mental illness. We try to provide them the services that they need to improve their mental illness, to have them go into remission in terms of their symptoms, mm-hmm. Or to cure their illness or have a full recovery when it's possible. And then we also pay attention to the forensic or medical legal aspects of the particular situation. So we have competency education groups, we'll have substance abuse groups, and this sort of thing. So everyone has a treatment plan, and their plan is tailored to what they need based on their legal status.
Okay. Now, folks that are in there, how long do they tend to stay? Is there an average length of stay at the forensic unit?
The length of stay really varies a lot. It can be as little as a few weeks, but it can be as long as many years. And again, it goes back to often what the reason for their commitment to the forensic unit is about.
Which I?
Right, which eye they are. So, for example, if they are admitted to the forensic unit because they are thought to be insane, the law has said that they are insane or not guilty by reason of insanity, it's a pretty good assumption that they'll be on the forensic unit for many years. In contrast, if someone is admitted to the forensic unit because they're recommended as incompetent to stand trial on a very minor charge, let's say trespassing, and they don't have a lengthy criminal record and that sort of thing, they may be able to be discharged back to court with treatment in as little as a few weeks.
Okay, and for someone who maybe was having a problem at the ACI and needed to have some psychiatric treatment, is there any sort of timeline around that? Just reestablish a person's stability and then have them transferred back to the prison? Or?
That is typically what the Department of Mental Health will request, although again, we always have to think about these individuals as moving targets. They may flatten, that is, their sentence may expire while they are actually at the forensic unit, so they may not necessarily go back to the ACI. So sometimes we are looking at working on ways of planning their discharge to the community from the forensic unit rather than having them go back to the ACI.
Okay.
So it can all really depend.
All right. Now, back to the 3 I's. If we could start with the first one of incompetent or establishing competence.
Yes.
Can you tell the viewers what that means?
Well, competency is a legal construct. It is something that can be both criminal and non-criminal. So a person is competent, let's say, to execute a will, or competent to stand trial, that is, to go in front of a judge and face their legal proceedings, or competent to waive their Miranda rights when they are arrested and pulled over by the side of the road. And for the general purposes of discussion, most people are presumed competent. It is only when it is thought that someone might not be competent that the legal system might request what is called a competency evaluation. And the most common competency request that comes to psychiatrists by the criminal justice system is competency to stand trial.
Okay.
Annually, across the country, there are about 60,000 competency requests per year. In Rhode Island, we have about 150 new competency requests every year, and we also have several that we have to reevaluate for various reasons, and so we end up doing several hundred of these evaluations per year. Competency to stand trial is something that is what is called a present state assessment. You're trying to see how a person is currently able to work with their lawyer and work with the judge to go to court and have some way of resolving the legal situation with their arrest. And so it is very much focused on the here and now. And this is in sharp contrast to an insanity evaluation. At an insanity evaluation, what the psychiatrist will do is they will assess the person's mental state at the time of the incident. They will, let's say, try to see what a person's mental state of mind was like when a killing occurred, when a killing was committed. And notice I'm not necessarily saying that it was a murder,
right.
Because if the judge or jury decides that a person is not guilty by reason of insanity, that means that they technically are not guilty of murder.
Okay.
So